How do you really rank Jazz Fest acts? You know, what's the biggest act? Yeah, different forms and different preferences.
Hard to do that.
But this might be the biggest one of the year, and that will take place tonight.
Peter Frampton's Guitar Circus. Yeah, get ready for some of that tonight. Peter Frampton's Guitar Circus will play alongside guitarist Robert Cray and Don Felder. The show starts at 8 o'clock at Kodak Hall at Eastman Theater. Tickets are still available. Doug Emblidge spoke with Felder about the show and his legendary career with the Eagles.
We welcome Don Felder, legendary guitarist, and coming to Rochester for the Jazz Festival. First of all, thanks for doing this with us, and I'm really curious what it's been like, this trio of Peter Frampton and Robert Cray and Don Felder. How's the experience been?
It's been a real delight. Not only is it fun to go out and play guitar with Peter, we do a couple of songs like Hotel California and Pride and Joy. He plays the harmonies with me on the end of Hotel California, and during Pride and Joy we get to exchange some solos and just trade off. It's just a great player and a lot of fun. And then at the end of the night we do My Guitar Gently Weeps, where everybody gets a chance to solo and have fun. It's just a really fun show, high energy, and so far the response has been just overwhelming.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Rochester kind of has a musical legacy, if you will. There's a lot of great players of all genres that have come out of here. And I read about you in Gainesville, Florida, with your connections to Stephen Stills and Tom Petty and the Allman Brothers. And I'm curious, do you think that was just happenstance? It just happened you were all there and maybe you all fed off each other? Or do you think somehow, in some strange way, it was meant to be that you were all in the same place?
You know, it's a very unusual happening to have so many people come out of such a small little town in the middle of the South there that went on to become platinum-selling artists and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees. I don't know if it was something in the water that was down there in Gainesville or something we were smoking or what, but it was a really unique situation. I wound up teaching Tommy Petty guitar when he was a couple of years younger than me. Stephen Stills and I had our first band together when we were 15 there. Dwayne Allman taught me how to play slide guitar. We were just a bunch of kids with garage bands in that area, kind of learning from each other. There was no official music school or music teacher there, so we just learned by ear and shared what knowledge we had with each other. And I guess that's why a lot of the sounds kind of sound similar, from you know, the Allmans to Petty, the Eagles. The sound I brought to the Eagles, Stills, all kind of resonates together in the same genre.
Talk about where you've been in the last dozen years or so. After 2001, Eagles were over for you. Your marriage was over as well, 29-year marriage. Talk about the lessons learned from those breakups and how you got from there to where you are now, which seems to be a pretty good place.
It is a really good place. As a matter of fact, like any devastating thing that happens in our lives, you have to go through a period of resolution, of figuring out how you got to that point, what caused it, how you resolve it in your own mind and your own heart, so you can go forward in life and enjoy the rest of your life without carrying all that emotional baggage along with you. So one of the things I started doing was I would do these daily meditations on specific parts of my life, trying to understand how I got from this impoverished condition in Gainesville, Florida, playing in these little garage bands, going through New York, Boston, out to L.A., into the Eagles, and how that had happened to change me, what bearing that whole course of life had had on me, and then when it was over and ended in 2001, what I was going to do to center myself and go forward with it. So I started doing these daily meditations and writing down these experiences and recollections from my life, which turned into an autobiography called Heaven and Hell, My Life in the Eagles, which wound up being a New York Times bestseller, as a matter of fact, and which shocked me more than anything. But during that course of kind of self-perspective, introspective, I was also writing songs in my studio about those emotions and feelings and separation and divorce from my wife. Wrote a great song called Fall from the Grace of Love that's on my new record called Road to Forever, that I got Crosby, Stills, and Nash to sing on. And I started just assembling all these song ideas at the same time I was writing this book. And the one thing I wanted was to have new material in my live show so that when I went out and played these live shows, I had new material to play. And fortunately, the new song and the new CD, including the book, have all been very well received and have just kind of driven me forward with the love of music and enthusiastic about playing music at a level that I had back when I was in high school, to tell you the truth.
Okay, and in part 2 of our interview with Don Felder, he talks about the Eagles and how he feels about not being included in their reunion. For all things Jazz Fest, go to 13wham.com. Take a look at that Jazz Lounge right there behind the green Find It button on the homepage.
For part 2 of our interview with the former lead guitarist of the Eagles, Don Felder.
He's headlining the Xerox Rochester International Jazz Festival tonight with Peter Frampton's Guitar Circus and Robert Cray. Here, Felder talks with Doug Emblidge about not being included in the Eagles reunion.
And the one thing I wanted was to have new material in my live show so that when I went out and played these live shows, I had new material to play. And fortunately, the new song and the new CD, including the book, have all been very well received and have just kind of driven me forward with the love of music and enthusiastic about playing music at a level that I had back when I was in high school, to tell you the truth.
When you get then the inevitable and I'm sure frequent Eagles questions, is it like reopening a wound, or have you really come to peace with all that through the process you just talked about?
Well, you know, the Eagles were a huge part of my life. 27 years I was in that band, from the first session joining the band and on the Border record until I finally left the band in 2001. And anytime you have that long of a relationship with anyone, you have a great deal of emotion and feelings and attachment to it. But nothing lasts forever, and you have to find a way to resolve those feelings with yourself and with the world and go on. So I look back at my time with the Eagles in a very fond light. Yes, it was difficult. We had really hard work, a lot of confrontations and stuff, but the end result was that the result of all that labor and effort and those years of our life produced some really amazing music. I feel honored to have been part of songs like Hotel California and the songs we wrote and recorded and produced together. And when I hear them on the radio, I try to think fondly of Joe and I sitting in the studio playing those guitar harmonies on the end. And I don't really harbor any ill feelings towards anybody in that organization. It's just not worth carrying that forward in my life. So I think it's been a really good process for myself to go through the self-healing. As a matter of fact, one of the songs on my new record is called Heal Me, about that same experience, how we all go through life and we wind up battling life and get wounds and scars on our heart, and at some point you want to be able to find a way to wash all that stuff away. So there's a couple of songs on there, a song called Wash Away the Pain and another one called Heal Me, that's about going through that same sort of self-healing process so you can go forward in life with a smile on your face.
What gives you the broadest smile? Is it the writing of the music, the recording of it, or stepping on a stage as you're going to do this weekend in Rochester?
Well, I love all parts of it. I love writing. I love working in the studio. But the most exhilarating thrill is to walk out in front of an audience and play and have that symbiotic relationship where we kind of vibrate together and you can feel the energy of the audience and really both sides of the stage can get excited about it. It's a very satisfying experience. A friend of mine makes movies, and he's always on the set where there's cameras and directors, but he never gets that feedback from a live audience. So when he comes out and we sit together and jam in front of a bunch of people at a charity event or something, he gets so excited because he gets that immediate response from the crowd. And that really, to me, is what music is about. It's making live music for people that can feed back and enjoy what you're doing, and both sides of the stage enjoy a wonderful night. And that's really what we're doing with Peter's show, too, as a matter of fact.
There is a generation of MTV viewers who have it burned in their collective memory. You playing the double neck guitar, I guess, for lack of a better word, on Hotel California and on that famous video. Any estimate as to the number of times you have played that solo or that the riff and the song and it's like asking James Taylor about Fire and Rain. Do you ever get sick of it?
Well, you know, I can't even begin to calculate how many times I've played that song. I will say there's been some really spectacular times where I have gone out and played it. I did a show at the United Nations in New York last fall at the Waldorf Astoria Ballroom. There were about 450 heads of states from all over the world. Walked out with my double neck guitar, played Hotel California, and half the crowd doesn't even speak English. But I got a standing ovation from the whole body because everyone globally knows that song. They've heard it, they recognize it, they identify with the whole imagery of California. So it's just been a pleasure to have been part of something like that, and hopefully I'll be able to continue playing that for years to come.
You played Hotel California at the Waldorf Astoria.
For the United Nations.
How about that? Well, Don, we're so glad you did this with us. We're really looking forward to having you in Rochester for the Jazz Fest, and thanks for taking some time with us today.
Thanks, Doug. I'll see you in a couple of nights.
All right. Thanks, Don.
Don Felder, and tickets are still available for tonight's show. Start at 8 o'clock at Kodak Hall at the Eastman Theater.
For all things Jazz Fest, including video, music interviews, musician interviews, and schedules, go to 13wham.com, click on the Jazz Lounge button right on the homepage.